I had a friend who I knew through playing poker that was deployed to Afghanistan. One night I heard that he had come home and that he was at a poker game I know. So I went out to that game to see him. When I was getting ready to leave, he asked me for a ride home. I said sure, and asked him where we were heading, and he said to take him to the Comfort Inn. I asked why he was staying there, and he said that his wife and he were on the outs and he was staying there until they worked things out. So I immediately told him to just go get his stuff out of there and that he could stay at my house until he got things straightened out. So he grabbed his stuff and came and stayed at my house for what ended up being 10 or 11 days. During this time, it was back when cell phones still had free nights and weekends as well as roaming charges. I had a company cell phone. But at that time, my personal cell was with Suncom, who at the time was one of the first companies that had a flat rate. So I didn't use my company phone when I was in town. I only used it when they sent me on the road to a job site because my phone could still get hit with roaming charges. The phone I was using for work broke and they gave me a loaner phone that wasn't assigned to anyone. I used that phone for a couple of weeks until my new phone came in. One day when the new phone came in, I brought back my loaner phone and it got put into a drawer. 3 months later, my boss called me while I was out of town in Jacksonville. He asked me if I had been texting on my company phone. The texting was blocked on our phones, so I told him that I couldn't send or receive texts. He seemed to shrug it off and said it must have been a glitch. I didn't really think any more of it because I didn't know what he was talking about. So I get home from Jacksonville, and about 11 o'clock at night, there's a knock on my door. When I answer it, there was a woman there, and it was my buddy's wife, who I had never met before. She asked me if I'd given my friend a phone. I didn't understand why she would even be asking me something so silly and told her OFC not. Then she told me that my company had been calling her all day because the phone he was calling her with for the last 3 months had been stolen from my job. As soon as she said it, I knew what happened and was sick. He took the SIM card from my phone and put it in his phone. When I took the phone back to my job, I had no idea that it didn't have a SIM card in it. He never brought it up, and I actually never saw him again to this day. I tried to call my boss, but it was too late at night. The next day I called him on my way to work and told him I needed to talk to him urgently. When I got to work, he met me outside, which I should have realized was odd, but my boss was also my friend, so it didn't occur to me. He took me to talk, but brought me into HR, and it still didn't dawn on me that something was really wrong. Before I even had a chance to speak, the first thing he said was, "I have to let you know that effective immediately you're terminated." My heart sank, and I pleaded with them. They said that I had given him the phone. I tried to tell him that he stole that SIM card and that I had no idea, but they didn't believe me. I had just gotten a raise, and this firing happened before I ever got a paycheck with the new raise. They didn't even give me a chance to pay the bill myself. He rang up an $1,100 texting bill. I would have paid it myself if they let me. When I went to school for my IT certs, I couldn't find a job for a year and a half because I was overcertified and had no real job experience. The guy who was my boss was my teacher when I was in IT school. I tried to find a job. I applied for 200 jobs and got one interview. I ended up losing my car and my house because of it. Now I'll admit that losing those things was a byproduct of being stubborn. I'm a nurse and I had left nursing to pursue IT, and I just refused to go back until it hurt me substantially. I didn't want to admit that things weren't going to work out until it was too late. I actually never worked in IT again. I ended up having to go back to nursing. I lost literally everything because I let that guy stay at my house. The kicker of the story is that at my job, I was a problem solver. They would send me to client locations where things were going wrong that we couldn't fix remotely. We manufactured a computer on wheels that we sold to hospitals for nurses to use for charting. A few months before I was fired, I was on location in Minnesota overseeing a rollout of 163 units, and there was a major issue that came up. I solved the problem and saved the deal, which was worth $1.3 million only to be fired a couple of months later over a $1,100 texting bill that I had nothing to do with.